I know, of course, the NBA is watching. Do you think that the NBA should implement a 1v1 um All-Star weekend? What's up, y'all? It's JC. If you're new, welcome to the channel. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. So last Friday we had a major event in the hoops world, a very entertaining event, I should say. A 1v1. You had Michael Beasley, Be Easy, versus Lance Make 'em Dance Stevenson. And this was put on by the Next Chapter content. They make content, great content. Almost what a million subs on YouTube, a whole bunch of subs on across all socials. So they do 1v1s, 3v3s, interviews. I kind of did like a quick preview of their channel, and it's great stuff. So it 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 was something that pretty much captivated the basketball world for what it was, a 1v1. You got two polarizing players, and Lance Stevenson, you remember him in his Indiana days. You got Michael Beasley, one of the greatest freshman college seasons ever. We know, and then he so talented. We know how talented he is as a scorer in the NBA, but things didn't quite work out as people may have thought, right? So you got that factor. And then you have the promotion, right? I say they did a great job of promoting this event. I don't you may have saw it. It's been a clip circulating around social media. It's like Lance is in the room, Michael Beasley's in the room, and then it's like a mediator in between them. And I gotta say, man, Be Easy saying some wild stuff. He's saying some wild stuff in that clip, but that's all part of it, right? It's like a boxing match. You gotta outlandish things are said to promote the fight, to build that hype up, and that's what they did for this 1v1. It was for 100K. I'll add that in there too. And what else? What else? Also, it kind of tied in. They factored in another entity, if you will, the big three, right? Lance Stevenson was the first overall pick by the, hope I'm to remember it correctly, the Miami 305, which Michael Beasley plays on. And again, the whole promotion thing. Once Lance Stevenson got drafted to the Miami 305, Beasley put out like I believe an IG story. He was like, I want to get traded. So all that hype, all that, you know, builds up the 1v1. And when the event took place last Friday, like I mentioned, um, it was pretty much everything that people expected it to be. People going to it. Also, I might add too, Lance Stevenson, a legend in his hometown. Mike Beasley, a legend in his hometown. So you got that factor in too. You got the DMV versus New York. I think Lance is from Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. And shout out Lance, man, by the way. He was my first interview. He's the athlete that he allowed me to interview him first. I'll put the clip up there. Not a clip, but a shot of the clip. Um, at the TBT at Rucker Park. So shout out Lance. I'll never forget that. Did me a solid. So yeah, you got that going against. You got the whole DMV, DCPG versus New York, Brooklyn. So it was like a perfect storm, I should say. It was a perfect storm. And like in my head, the legend behind Mike Beasley. We know how talented of a scorer he is. Um, you heard the LeBron stories. You heard that pretty much nobody. He's one of the greatest one-on-one players ever. From his generation, from my understanding, and all the stories that have been put out. So I think many people expected Mike Beasley to win. And it turned out that he did. I believe the score was 31-21, if I'm not mistaken. So that was that. And it pretty much, like I said, this moment pretty much captivated the basketball world. Trending, the videos were everywhere. If that's your algorithm, if you follow basketball, if basketball is of your interest, you saw clips of that in your algorithm, your timeline, you got on IG, clips on YouTube, on Twitter, you saw it. You saw it. So that kind of, you know, led to me thinking, I'm sure the NBA, well, I know, of course, the NBA is watching. Do you think that the NBA should implement a 1v1 um All-Star weekend? That's been a recommendation that people have came up with over the past couple of years, that not much interest during All-Star weekend. Hasn't really garnered the same amount of attention that it used to. So people come up with different ideas, and 1v1 has been something that's been thought of, that's been thrown out there. um could it exist? Would guys want to play a 1v1? That's the question. That's the question. And again, I want to shout out the next chapter, man, because it was authentic. From I didn't watch the full game. Pretty much, my man said hit me up. He was like, "Man, I'm watching the Mike Beasley Lance." By the time I got home, I think they were pretty much. Um, the game was almost over. I was like, I'm not about to drop 30. I think it was 20 or 30 on it, to watch it live. But like I said, it from the clips, it was authentic. Um, their lane is perfect for that type of content. That's why they've been able to strive. So you even had Lance get into it with, I think, another player who participated in the event prior to it, pushing the crowd, and everybody getting hyped up. It was just authentic, like a 1v1, like you going to the park, you know. So shout out to the next chapter. Um, but would the NBA consider doing something like this? Now, of course, it wouldn't look the same, right? It wouldn't look the same. And that's one thing to think about. Like, do you want it to be? I think hoops is hoops. Like, people want to see it regardless. If you have the talent, the guys competing against each other, really, going after it. Would this be something that the NBA would implement during the All Star game? Now, me personally, I got to see it to believe it. You got guys don't really even want to do the dunk contest. Past couple of years, the All-Star game hasn't really been, what people, want to see in terms of the level of competition. Not saying they gotta, treat it like the NBA Finals Game 7, but a little bit more competitive than what it has been, right? So, do you think guys on their off time will want to? Technically, that's their break, unless you're participating in an event. Do you think they will want to do a 1v1? The incentive would have to be a pretty penny, I should say. It won't be 100K like Mike Beasley and Lance. I think it would have to be, a couple M's, right? Those are my thoughts. It's just like, who would it be? You know, it's got it's guys that you think game translate well in that, you know, street ball, not street ball, but like a park type game. Those hoopers, he like a Bones Highland, who else, like a Rob Dillingham. I think that would garner some attention. Like, if these guys play at the highest level in the world, I think that would garner some attention for a 1v1. So will the NBA do it? Probably not. I'm leaning towards no. Um, but let me know your thoughts.